Zion is still not back. Twitter surprisingly hasn't made as much of a fuss as I thought they would. But the negativity's still out there. Do you have thoughts? I haven't talked to you about it yet. Normally we'll talk about this stuff as it comes, but
Well, I think I've made my thoughts clear on it for a while that I've been assuming he's not playing again. That's how I've looked at it. I was like, from day one, not day one, but once he had that setback, I was like, he's not going to play again. And that's just been what I've been telling myself. That way, if he does play again, it's just a nice little surprise. But if this keeps happening, then I'm good. I'm like, I expected it. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of did. Like, at least the people I follow, it seems like everybody was kind of like, yeah, we know. But at the same time, we're all on the same page, like, some clarity of what is actually going on would be nice, some transparency.
it definitely does feel disappointing that, not to say Griff, but just in general, the PR from the team consistently has just been somewhat lacking. Like you never really know what's going on. And I mean, like, granted, like, they don't have to tell us. They don't have to. But it always comes across as weird. Like something else is happening that they're hiding instead of it just being what it is.
Yeah, just what they did. Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before? Whatever it was, that original thing where everybody was like, that wasn't an update.
Yeah, you could have just said, hey, we have nothing. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, so like we always joke about, oh, he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. At least that's an update.
Right.
Like, at least we know, hey, he's not ready. This was more like...
This was a fucking shrug.
This was like, we don't know. Do you know? We don't know.
We got no idea. Then we have to hear from Shams what's actually going on. Which, I mean, I guess, that was clarity. So
when he said that, he was like, he won't be ready for the play-in. Yeah, no shit. Like, when he put that out, I was like,
a week away. Of course not.
I read a tweet and was like, yeah, he's not going to be back for the play-in. I could have did that.
Yeah. No, I think the most recent update I saw is that it's even doubtful that he would play in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, which obviously, I mean, that's pretty soon. So, it is what it is. I mean, I think the weird thing about it is the reasoning for it is that it's just kind of a feel thing, right? Like, it's just like there's nothing wrong. He's progressing fine, but it just doesn't feel right. It's like, all right, the vibes are off. That's where we're going.
Yeah. I would like to know who is the one deciding he's not playing. Is this an organization thing? Is it? I'd love to just hear from Zion. That was my whole issue last year. Was he was quiet. He didn't say anything, and people ran wild with all the takes, whatever. And I was just hoping that he would somewhat learn from that. And I mean, I don't even know what I want him to say.
What can he say?
I don't know, but it's just like I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just the silence is, I don't know, in a way. And it's not even me saying, like, oh, he's trying to hide. Like, part of me is wondering if it's, like, the organization, like, hey, don't say anything. Like,
that's what I'm wondering.
To hold him back. And I don't like that. Like, I would rather him come out and be like, yeah, I want to play, but these fuckers won't let me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really what I want him to come out and say. I want to know that it's not him not wanting to play.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it is.
I was going to say, at first I thought, I really don't know what to think, because I was trying to read between the lines, and between the original report, which was no report, and then the next thing that came out, it was basically like he doesn't feel right. There's nothing wrong. He didn't have a setback, but he doesn't feel right. Then I was like, so are you telling us that he's not ready? Like, are you saying he doesn't want to play? But I don't think he's the type of person to do that. So
right. When I read that, I was like, my first reaction was like, so you're telling me he went through practice and was like, nah,
yeah,
I'm not good. Like, I don't believe that. In my head, I'm like, to me, Zion seems like which I mean, we may not know. Like, we're all just outside looking in. He seems like we said a couple weeks ago, the Mike Thomas type, where it's like, if I can walk, I'm playing. You know,
right.
Especially playoffs. After he's been saying how he hated having to watch that last year, I have a hard time believing that it's him. I feel like he told them, like, yeah, I'm a little sore, or a little, whatever he said. I'm a little tight. He's not even sore. That's why I'm like, what?
That's what doesn't make sense. They clearly, the fact that they came out and clearly said he's not, he has no setbacks, he has no soreness, he has no tightness. Like, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right.
Is it?
And I'm like,
Is it a thing where they feel like he's like hesitant to do the things he's holding back, like a mental wall he's trying to break? Like, I don't know.
So I think that there, and I'm kind of going off the rails here, but I was reading, I forget who tweeted it, but there was someone who was talking through, like, they go through their conditioning tests in the beginning of the season, and then if they have an injury, then during their rehab process, they always compare them to their, like, previous test results or whatever, and things aren't aligning in the way that they would like to see. I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
So is he just not as in shape? Of course not. He's been sitting around not playing basketball. Like, let him. There's a whole nother argument to be had there. Like, protect your asset, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I also think that you can play yourself back into shape. Now, a hamstring, you could do the back and forth all day, right?
But here's the thing, and this is what makes it such a big deal. We ain't talking about him coming back for game 45 in the season.
That's true.
If this happened week 2 of the season and we're mid-season right now, we're like, all right, hold off when you're 100%, let's go. Like, we talking about, we need to win these 2 games, or we're not, or at least one game, or we're not even in the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you can go, like, you telling me you can't give me 10, 15 minutes and see how it goes, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that throws things off. I don't know. But
that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I told you that too. I was like, I don't know how I feel about just throwing him into things. Are like, this is the best. Granted, the teams have been lackluster that we've played against. The good teams haven't played their guys. But the offense, no matter your level of competition, you can tell when the offense just flows better. You know what I mean? So the offense seems like it's flowing. BI's in a nice groove right now. Herb's back to being like the best offensive Herb we've seen.
Yeah.
Trey is like 2 weeks away from being in that max player conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man.
So, this brought up that's a good transition because that's something I wanted to talk about, and that was the fun thing I was talking about. So I went to the Pels game last night. Awesome game. Trey killed it. It was fucking amazing. I'm with 2 of my buddies, and the running joke the whole time is they were calling Brandon Ingram a superstar, and I kept joking, and I'm like, listen, I love Brandon Ingram. You guys are gonna make me sound like a Brandon Ingram hater. I think he's a part-time superstar. Like he's a star in his right.
If we need to win this game, I'm a superstar. Yeah,
right.
2 years in a row, the last month of the season, he's turned up and been a superstar.
So, but what I'm getting at, going back to Trey, is that we were having that conversation, like joking, going back and forth, and then Trey Murphy just continuously, play after play, is putting on a show, and they're like, "Is Trey Murphy a superstar?" And I looked at him and I was like, honestly, if he keeps doing this, like he's right now, no, absolutely not. I was like, but if he plays like this and you're seeing him develop the ability to shoot off the dribble, like you're seeing him develop in so many areas.
From game to game.
It's insane.
It's quick.
And
dude, this year 1 to year 2 jump is nuts.
It's like, crazy. I genuinely don't have words. All I know is give him the damn ball.
Dude, right now, he's the second best player on the team.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't
know about like overall player, but scorer for sure.
I mean, considering CJ's hurt, and I think it's kind of affecting. Granted, CJ's been pretty good too for what he's dealing with, but I don't know. It's Brandon, number 1 right now. He is on that level.
For sure.
That pass he made to Herb, by the way, crazy. And then I think it's Trey. Like, Trey is the guy right now. I think the offense should be running through Trey almost.
It should. They should definitely be setting up more plays for him, and they were last night. They were definitely setting some things up for him. Just it's so much fun to see. I mean, you know, obviously his shot was there, and then you start to see his ability to put it on the floor and attack when people close out on him. But now even more than that, it's the in-between game that you're starting to see.
That one where he caught at like the corner 3, did the little like behind the back spin off the glass. I was like, oh, we're doing that now.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. All right, Trey.
I was like, I did not know you had handles like that.
It's just nasty. And one of my buddies is like every Trey Murphy play, he looks at me again. I'm like, dude, I got nothing. I just want to keep seeing it. It's exciting. Yeah, and I love it.
It's beyond the shot now. Now the shot now is like, if he pulls it, I'm thinking, like, I'm shocked when it doesn't go in at
Right.
this point. It's all the other stuff where I'm like, and not even like just the driving to the basket, because he always was able to drive to the basket. But now, like you're saying, he's throwing some dribble moves in there. He had a little back to the basket game. I'm like, I don't know where this wasn't there a week ago. Like, you're telling me from there to here, you got that much better?
I think it could be one of those things too. You always see it like pregame warm-ups. You see these guys do stuff that like I could never do.
Oh,
and they never do it in the game because they don't have the confidence to try that shit in the
That's
game.
what I was about to say.
I think that could
that's
be
the key word there. Like, if you, dude, when you're pulling from 30 feet and just not missing, like, and he's hitting them where the net doesn't move consistently. So he's operating on like another level confidence wise. So like you're saying, he's just like, you know what, I got this in my bag in practice. Why not?
Yeah,
you know,
try it. It worked against Willie Hernan Gomez. Let me see if I could do it. Love Billy. I'm a Billy stan. Don't take that as disrespect. No. Anyways, so playoffs, play in. I admittedly I wanted to do a little more research because I was under the impression that the Pelicans had the tiebreaker with the Clippers and the Lakers, but I think I may be mistaken.
I knew we didn't have it with the Lakers.
Okay. That's got to be what it is.
I know we don't have it with the Lakers, only because every time they've won and we've had the same record, they've been ahead of us. The Clippers, you might be right.
I think I read something to where if it's a three-way tie,
We should have it over the Warriors,
then the
right?
Pelicans have it. I think we do. But the Warriors, we're not going to catch the Warriors.
No. Well,
we're not going to catch the Warriors. Anyways, what else getting at?
They can still get the 5th seed somehow.
They
I don't
can.
even understand it.
Do you First of all, I want to pick at you a little bit. I was going to ask you a question, but first I'm going to pick at you. Remember that tweet where you said the Pelicans weren't going to make the playoffs?
Does the play-in count?
I think so. Maybe not. Even if it doesn't, I'm still saying they're going to make the playoffs. So maybe I won't toot my own horn yet. We'll wait.
I mean, I've told you that I'm a little more confident, but listen, me saying they're not has worked.
Yeah, just keep
so
keep
I'm gonna
ignoring
roll
them.
with it.
Keep
you know,
only watch.
They
at the
won't
end of
make
the
the playoffs, and they definitely won't upset whoever they play in the first round.
There you go. We're just gonna clip that one part, and we're gonna put it all over the place.
That's fine.
There you go. Hot take.
With no context, nobody's good. Everybody's thinking I'm just a hater, but we understand what's happening here.
You're such a fucking hater.
I mean, let's be honest. When I said that, you like the people saying they would make the playoffs were the ones looking crazy.
In the minority, yeah. I think it was me and the sports drink dude were the only people on Twitter that were just like unapologetically.
It goes back to the Zion thing. I always I'm setting my expectations low. That way I can only be surprised in a good way. It's the same thing. Like, we're not talking about Saints, but this is what I do with the Saints last year, where I was like, my expectations are so low that there's no way they can possibly. You know what I mean?
I think so. I it's funny that you put it like that. I basically do the same thing, but I don't outwardly do it.
And it's not like, even like being a pessimist. It's just like I think I'm a realist. Is how I look at it. Even
when I said they're definitely making the playoffs, in my head it was like, man, I fucking hope this happens. But outwardly, I was like, you know what? We're gonna manifest this shit. We're gonna put so much positive vibes into the universe. Like, that's just how I work. I'm like,
and I can be on the other end. We just balance each other out. It works out well.
But I do the same shit with the Saints. Like, just talking about them, how you just mentioned it. Like, you heard me last year. I was hating on Dennis Allen randomly, but let somebody bring him up in a conversation. That's my dog.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be overly positive about him, about Pete, about everybody until I'm not.
Yeah. So, like, talking about the playoffs, and I was talking to somebody about this last night. So if they can get the 6th seed, or whatever, is it either 5th or 6th has to play the Suns, right, in round 1. And in my head, I'm like, I don't think I want that. Like, right. I think I would rather take my chances with the Nuggets or Memphis, whoever's 1-2 right now. Even the Kings. Like, I would rather play the Kings as good as they looked and as bad as they beat us the other day. I would rather the Kings in the first round than have to deal with the Suns, who haven't lost a game with the new lineup playing. So
the Suns are gonna be tough no matter what.
The Suns are tough, man. And I'm like, it's such a terrible matchup. I'm like, you know what? The play-in doesn't sound too bad if you get 7, 8 and have to deal with. Dude, I mean, the Nuggets probably beat us, but of those top teams, I think the Nuggets are the one that I'd like our chances against the most. If we had Zion, I'd like our chances with Memphis, but
Yeah. Well,
you know,
see, this is where I had a pessimistic thought there. I don't know if I should share it. You're gonna get me to be the pessimist.
Put it on the table.
What's the goal? I guess that's the question, right? Like, are we realistically?
The goal. All right. Well, so the goal.
Do you want to win a playoff series? I mean, yes, you want to win a playoff series. But what's the goal?
If you're making the playoffs, then the goal is it's unrealistic. The goal, if you make the playoffs, should be to go all the way.
Well, of course, but I'm talking being realistic here. They're not going to win the finals. That's not happening.
No, the goal should be to go another step from what you did last year to get out of the first round. Okay. Honestly, the goal to this point shouldn't even be to be in the play-in. It should have been. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. Now, granted, injuries, whatever. Your goal should have been, all right, we were a play-in team last year. This year we should be somewhere middle of the pack in the West, and we should get out of the first round, at least.
Yeah.
Like your goal should be progress. Like if you look at Memphis, we talk about how they kind of mirror us in a way, where last year they kind of took everybody by surprise. This year they were like, all right, we should be here. And they hit that goal. Yeah. So, I think that should be the Pels should be that, not to that extent. Granted, we were the 1 seed and went healthy.
Right.
You should be like, all right, the next step is second round.
Yeah.
And then once you get that first series win, then your expectation should be.
I mean, I agree. My first thought is it obtainable? And I do I think we can win a playoff series? Yes.
Well, before you go any further, what I was going to ask was, are you saying what are the expectations as the roster sits currently?
Yes.
Or
yeah, because I'm moving forward as if Zion is not returning.
So yeah, I mean, still, you want make it out of the play-in 100%. Then I don't know if you to at least look like you belong like you did last year. I think is fair.
Right.
But
I think that's what I want.
When I say win a series, if Zion were to come back somehow for the first round, then I think your goal, no matter who you play, should be win the series.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree. And listen, when it comes time, when that playoff series starts, you're not going to hear what I'm about to say come out of my mouth. I'm going to be ride or die, and I'm going to swear we're going to win that series. But what I'm about to say is the team we've seen,
Pels and foe.
Huh?
Pels and foe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're gonna hear. I'm gonna be crazy. But the team we've seen, even the 8-2 team that we've seen, that everybody, if you just look at the record, is gonna be like, oh man, they're playing very well. That team is not that great. Like, I don't see them winning a playoff series.
Well, no, because they play a good team in Sacramento and they get
destroyed.
Waxed.
They played the Warriors and fucking fell apart. They almost lost to who was it, Memphis? Just collapsed. Like, it seems like it just doesn't go well when they actually play a real playoff caliber team.
Yeah, that 7-8 game against the Lakers in the play-in is concerning.
Yeah, I don't like that.
To me.
I don't like that either, because the Lakers are actually a lot better.
Yeah.
Which we all saw. I mean, we said that at the trade deadline. Like, we knew they were going to be a real team.
AD is playing out of his mind right now. So yeah, I don't like that. But I'm with you. Anytime they've played a competent team, it's not looked great. Still think they should be good enough to get out of the play-in.
You should be. I mean, you should end up as 7 or 8 seed, regardless.
Who's 9 and 10? Minnesota and
the Thunder. The Thunder locked in a 10 spot.
Yeah. Minnesota would worry me.
I'm not too worried about. I mean, either one of those teams could beat us because it's happened. But you should.
That's the thing, right? It's one game. It's a 1 game thing,
right?
Which the Pels can beat anybody on a one game thing,
true.
But they also can be that team where we're like, what the fuck are you doing right now?
Which you've seen way too often.
Exactly.
That's what my concern is.
Which is
like, I watched some
the
games
team that got us in the play-in position to begin with.
Right.
It's
tough. But and so we could put a bow on this. There's one last thought I have. Looking back, like if the season ended right now, say we made the playoffs, we're out in the first round, whatever, or say we lose in the play-in. Is it a success, all things considered?
No, it's not. I think I know it's hard to say. It's hard to say no because you were without your superstars for 50, or your star and your superstar, if you want to go there,
Part-time star
for 50% of the season. But coming into the season, we all sat here and said, which if you go on Twitter now, it's nobody believes in the depth of the team, but we all were saying how deep this team was. When the team was great at the beginning of the year, everybody loved the depth the team had, right? We loved Dyson. We loved everybody. We all of a sudden hate for whatever reason.
I don't get that.
Yeah, so that's a whole other conversation. The Dyson conversation is a different conversation.
I'm not even touching that. I don't get it.
But we were at the point where we're like, this team is we were deep enough that I think you had your players enough. I'm trying to think about how I want to word this. It's not that they lost the games to me, right? It's the way they were losing.
Mm-hmm.
They just looked incompetent. Like, they looked like a team that didn't know what they were doing. The coaches, coaching looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Players looked like they didn't even want to be out there. Like, that is a disappointment because we preached, you got this culture that we got all of a sudden, you know what I mean? None of that existed. Granted, it's hard to keep it up when you're losing, but they look so bad that I think it's a failure. Not even looking at the record specifically of that stretch.
So that's the silver lining, though, right? Because that's if you take a step back from the season, you don't look. There were some miserable losses.
Right.
There was some very head scratching. How the hell does this happen? Type losses. Where you're right. I mean, they looked like they had zero basketball IQ. Like, it was frustrating. But if you just take a step back and you look at the record, they've improved without their superstar.
Right, but it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. What was your goal at the beginning of the season?
No, I know.
You know, but the thing that makes it tough is injuries, because it's hard to, and this goes when people start talking about needing to change up a coaching staff and stuff. It's so hard to evaluate anything when you're not just forget that you had injuries to Larry at one point, Jose at one point. You know, Jose's been out. Dyson was out right when he was getting hot. Your guys, your two guys that this team are built around, and then even your third guy is playing with an injured shooting hand,
right,
and needs surgery. So it's so hard to that question. It's hard to answer, really, because it's a success considering what you had to overcome, but when you look back at where you thought you were supposed to be. And you see, when I was looking at the goals at the beginning of the year, I assumed both of them would miss time. Not this much time.
Not this much time.
But you assume that both of them are going to miss time because it's just what they do. And I don't know. It feels like I'm just going off a gut feeling. It feels like a disappointment.
Yeah, whereas last year felt like a major success. Yeah. Even though it was
this feels like even if they did the same exact thing this year, won the play-in, took whoever 6 games, 7 games, whatever it was, it still feels like a disappointment. It just doesn't it's crazy that they make it that far considering what they dealt with. But at the same time, this is the team from last year.
Yeah.
So this team should be able to do what they did last year and go further.